TV.com. And today, this is not a wrestling or MMA interview. This is a gentleman, Kenneth Pazanski. He has the Astral Pilot YouTube channel, and he's been in contact with me for numerous months, telling me about his stories and showing me some pictures and videos of beings that he has captured on video. And he has a very long story, and I'm going to let him tell it to me as he tells it to you. So this will be the first I'm really hearing his story too. I've seen the pictures, I've seen the videos, and he's been talking to me enough about it that I'm interested in hearing it. So Kenneth, thanks for joining me, and we'll let you tell us this very unique story that you have.
Okay, well, it started roughly 16 years ago. I was poisoned. I never really bothered anybody, but it was just one of those rare times in my life where I ran into somebody that was pretty evil. The intention behind it was to make it look like a accidental overdose. So, long story short, trying to make it as short as possible, I was being loaded up into the trunk to get dropped off wherever they were going to drop me off. I was found at the last minute and loaded into somebody else's car and then dropped off in my mother's front yard. From there, I started hearing a female talking to me. Now, at that point, I had thought I'd possibly died, in my mother's yard. When I was being poisoned, once I realized what the guy was doing, like I had no motor functions. I couldn't talk, I couldn't fight, I couldn't scream for help. And when I was dropped off in my mother's yard, I was still kind of tranquilized like that. So laying there, I could hear a woman telling me to crawl. I couldn't see anybody there, but I remember thinking in my head, I can't crawl, I'm too tired. And she responded back that if I didn't crawl, my heart was going to stop. And even in the tranquilized state that I was in, it kind of clicked. How was this woman able to hear me when I didn't talk? I was just thinking it in my head, I'm too tired to crawl. My mother came home, brought me into the house, and started making me drink a lot of milk to flush whatever it was that I was poisoned with out. We'll fast forward a week, and I was laying in bed one night about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it felt like something was pulling me out of the bed. I kind of paused for a minute, not sure if I was actually moving or what was going on. So I kind of looked for a wrinkle in the blanket to see if I was actually moving past it, and I was. So in a panic, I reached out to grab onto my ex-wife to stop myself from moving, and I had no motor functions. I couldn't grab onto nothing. I couldn't move. This went on for about 6 years, and I thought everything. I thought anything from demons, paranormal. I didn't know what was happening. It was like every night, every other night, I would find myself being pulled off the bed, and I had no motor functions, sleep paralysis. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about it. So one night it happened. I had a really scary experience. And I remember doing a lot of research on it, and the light body, a lot of different things come up. And then this channel, Steve G. Jones, was clinical hypnotherapist. I guess he does it, and the way he was explaining it is you have full control. The reason it felt like I was being pulled to the foot of the bed is because I thought something was pulling me to the foot of the bed. Therefore, I was making myself move to the foot of the bed. Now, one of the first exercises is to, when you feel your body or your soul detaching from the body, raise yourself, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot off the bed, and then lower yourself back down. Do that a couple of times. So I remember the first night that I induced it, I elevated about 3 foot above the bed, lowered myself back down, come out of it in complete disbelief that everything the man had said was true. Now, sleep paralysis, the way they explain it, because a lot of people say that they experience demons and shadow people looking at them, and they can't move their body parts. It feels like someone's pinning them. In reality, you actually have full control. It just feels like that. You're in a state of dual consciousness. You're halfway in the body and you're halfway out of the body. When you're halfway out of the body, you don't have motor functions. You don't have arms. You don't have legs. but still feeling like you're inside the body, you try to use those motor functions and you can't because you don't have arms and legs there. It's really boils down to just doing it a lot and getting used to it. So this woman would constantly speak to me. She would say things like, "Find Dunner physicist, look out for the monument," things that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. That led to these beings showing up. Now, for the longest time, I would tell people, I could hear a woman talking to me. It made it sound like I was absolutely crazy. And like I knew if I had the right equipment, I could prove it. And actually, one night I was outside and I could see the cats running up the palm trees. It was maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I couldn't see whatever it was they were chasing. But knowing cats see in infrared, I decided to get some night vision equipment and started taking a lot of photos. Like through thousands of grainy photos, you start picking out little details like little dots of light. Through that, I figured out they wear these suits that they fire off this receiver. The small beings that I've noticed carry a wand. The bigger ones have a ring, and they all kind of have their own version of the same type of technology. Some of them, it's kind of a piece that they wear around their neck. It interfaces with this receiver that they fire off, and all it's doing is radiating infrared all over their body. So it's an optical illusion. The trick is in the material of their clothes. So when infrared hits their clothes, infrared is a few photons below what the human spectrum can pick up. So they can stand a foot away from you and you don't see them. So it started by me looking for these little dots of light that your regular camera will pick up. And then I would take my night vision goggles and start going in the direction where I see the little dots of light and start picking up these beings there. And I've got a lot of videos of them.
Yeah, you got a lot of videos and you have some pictures. We can start with the pictures. I mean, here's one of them. Maybe you could tell us the background of this picture that you shot.
Okay, I think it was last night. Now, everyone, a lot of people say, well, why are alien photos and paranormal photos always so grainy? These beings want to stay hidden at all costs. And even though this was actually taken on a really good camera, he was so far away from the camera, I had to zoom it in to the point where it was completely pixelated. This being was actually looking over the corner of my shed. And I believe, wasn't this last night that I sent you this one? It was last night or the night before, but this guy was peeking over my shed and he was watching the camera. So I was trying to get as good a shot as I possibly could from as far away as he was. Now, had he been a little bit closer to the camera, the image would have came out a lot clearer.
And you did mention when I asked you why you don't take these from closer up because you're a little bit intimidated by these things.
No. I've actually tried to approach them, but they, just as much as I'm getting familiar with their technology through all of these grainy photos, they're familiar with mine. So like I sent you a video of it. It almost appears like a spider web in front of the trail camera. Now that particular night, I used a different type of trail camera with a tinted IR. They were used to the ones that, when it was motion activated, the red lights would come on and that would alarm them that the camera turned on. So when they got around the tinted one, they wasn't sure if it was a camera or what it was. So it started off dematerialized, almost looking like a spider web, and it was waving in front of the camera. And when it couldn't get a reaction from the camera, it turned into a full-on orb and it kept rocking in front of the camera trying to get a reaction from it, but it wasn't able to tell if the camera was on, off, or what it was. I won't go so far as to say I'm intimidated by them. I have tried to approach them, and there was one night they were a couple of foot away from my wife and I outside. We could hear them, but we couldn't see them. And I remember telling my wife that I'm ready to interact with them. And I believed it so wholeheartedly when I said it. They had to have felt those emotions coming off me. The following morning, I think it was 6 a.m., I woke up, used the bathroom, and I got this habit where when I walk past my son's crib, I've got to pause and just check his breathing to make sure he's breathing. So I'm on my way to the bathroom. I stop at the foot of the crib and I'm kind of looking up at the window and checking his breathing, locked onto his breathing. Okay, he's breathing. And then I look up again and I could see something. The blinds were completely open. And I'm like, I couldn't really tell what it was. It just looked big and round. And then when I got closer to it, it blinked. The thing didn't try to run. It didn't move. It didn't fly away. It didn't try to hide. I mean, it sat there staring. Now, it creeped me out for 2 weeks. Every time, it was like the first thing I think about before I went to bed and the first thing I thought about when I woke up. And it almost like traumatized me to the point where I'd get butterflies in my stomach every time I remember that incident. And it wasn't so much that I was scared of the being. They don't feel emotions like we do. So to them, looking in a window at 6 o'clock in the morning, I guess wouldn't strike them as creepy. They just, as far as like an opportunity goes, that's when nobody's around, nobody would see them there. From where, a human standpoint, you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you see something with a head this big staring through your window, you shit yourself. So like just the visualization, visualizing how big this thing's head was just caught me off guard and scared the crap out of me. But once I got used to what I had seen, I have been trying to get them to interact with me ever since, and I can't get them to come close enough to me or the camera to. They always keep their distance.
This is another one that you've taken. It appears there might be two in this.
This photo here, now the one that's circled, it's a gray. I had to take screenshots, about 50 screenshots, just to get them perfectly standing behind me. Last year, Nuke's Top 5 did an alien piece, and they made this their #1 spot. At the time, my channel was called Operation Z Project ZXV, and this thing ran behind me really quick. Now, in the actual video, you'll notice to the right, there's like a triangle-shaped light. That's the receiver that I was telling you guys about. They fire this receiver off. If they travel too far from the receiver, your regular phone camera could get a clear image of them. And that's actually what happened there. Is I was standing smoking a cigarette in the middle of the night, and it got too far away from the receiver, and it ran behind me trying to get back to the receiver, and the trail camera picked it up. I had a trail camera hidden under the tire of my car. So now, you guys remember, I'm talking about these little dots of light that I would look for in my photos that most people would just kind of write off as a reflection of something. That's their technology, and your regular cell phone camera will pick these little dots of light up. Wherever you see them, typically they're shaped in the shape of a triangle. Wherever you see them, the being's usually within 3 or 4 foot of that, but their technology is crazy. It's almost like a film projector sort of thing. They can make a tree look like a man. They can make a man look like a tree. I mean, the things that they could do with their technology is crazy, but I can usually get within a couple of foot of them with my camera. So on that particular night, I knew that it was going to be in that particular spot based off where I seen those little dots of light. Also in that Nukes video, there's a part where the being is cloaked on my flower pot, and he sticks his head out of the cloak for a minute, and then he retracts back into the cloak. So yeah, that's it's grainy, but there's a video that shows the being actually running behind me that's a lot clearer than that.
Now, this is an interesting one. What the hell is this thing?
This thing, it's if you look close, he's wearing a mask. You can make out his eyes, his nose, his mouth. He is actually underneath my banana tree. Now, under the banana tree, when the rind starts to rot, it turns like a nasty brown like that. He was basically blending in with the rotting rind up underneath the banana tree. He had a piece of it over top of his head. He had his arms behind it, and he was just kind of latched on looking at me. It almost looks like he's smirking at me. But I was standing in that exact spot, like in the direction that he's looking when I took the photo. Now, you can't see these beings with your eyes. You don't see them until you go back and look with the camera. But yeah, he was maybe 2 or 3 foot away from me.
You had some other like almost ghost-like activity that you were touching this mist type stuff that we see the picture of here.
Right. That was 7-8 months ago. It was 2 days before I was admitted into Tampa General. I was taking pictures of my moringa trees, and this this flapping light. It was flapping like a bird, but it was flapping. It would fly in front of my camera, and then it would fly away really quick. So I was asking my son, "Did you see that?" And we couldn't see it with our eyes. We can only see it through the camera lens. And my son's like, "No, what are you talking about?" I says, "This light just flew in front of my phone." So I started to, like, I didn't know if maybe it was a reflection off something or what it was. So I started, going about my business, taking pictures of my moringa trees. I sell these trees. And it flew in front of the camera again, sat for a minute, and then it flew away. It's almost like it was trying to get me to chase it with my phone. So I followed it with the phone, and once I got to where it was at, I could see it wasn't a reflection off the light. It was actually sitting there flying. And then it took off again. So 30, maybe 45 minutes later, I made my way to the backyard to take photos of the bigger trees that I have, and it came back. So I kind of waited a minute to make sure it wasn't going to fly off again, and I hit the record button. And then you guys notice throughout the video, it's slowly flying away, leaving me chasing it. So the phone's, it's dark out, but you can see the light from the sky where I'm constantly going in a circle trying to chase it with my phone. But another subscriber took screenshots of it, and when you look, it's just like a little dot of light, but when you enlarge it, it's got patterns of feathers in it. So it was a really cool experience.
Lots of interesting activity going on, and it's Tampa that you live in. Here's another
Oh yeah,
theme.
That one's creepy. That one, do you have the picture I sent of the 3 dots of light? Now there you go. Okay, now the 3 dots of light there, if you go back to the alien, you'll notice the mask he's wearing. That mask is the 3 dots of light. As I was saying, you could see it with your phone, and most people don't pay attention to that. Now what I did is once I seen the 3 dots of light in the mango tree, I knew he was there, so I went and got my night vision equipment. When you turn on night vision goggles, you might see a faint little light coming off the goggles, but they see it like a really bright LED light because they see an infrared. So as soon as I turned the goggles on, he turned his suit off. Then my dog went running behind the palm tree barking at something. I couldn't see what it was barking at, so I took my phone and started taking pictures of the area that the dog was in. You could see the dog at the bottom of the photo, and then you could see that being really small peeking out of the side of the palm tree, watching me with his one eye.
So you think that all this activity is happening around you just because of why? Why do you think they're attracted to you? Or is it just this is happening to many people and you just have the night vision equipment to capture it?
I think it's happening to way more people than people realize. Most people just don't pay attention to it. And it might be considered a little obsessive on my part, but looking at thousands of grainy photos, knowing wholeheartedly there's something there that I just got to find out what it is. It's kind of how I picked apart how their technology works to be able, to put the camera in the right place. I think if more people cared, if more people paid attention, they'd find more people are being watched by them. I think over the last couple of years, they've probably shown up here way more than they would anywhere else because I personally think it's like a game of hide and seek to them. Like I invest a lot of time and effort into trying to pinpoint and, figure out where they're sitting in the yard. So I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know if these things have a sense of humor, but they seem to really enjoy playing hide and seek.
So do you think they're all from the same place? What's your theory on where they're from?
At first, I was so blown away by the amount of different races that would appear here. And then one night I was, I hate to say this to your audience, but it was in the middle of the night. Now we live in basically an old people neighborhood. There's nobody around. We have no family or friends that come around. And I was peeing in a bush and I could feel something touch me. I could hear it, but I couldn't see anything. So I pulled out my phone and took 3 photos back to back. The camera froze. And then when it unfroze, the last photo taken was the upper torso of what looks almost human. I mean, it was wearing a shirt with a digital imprint. Again, that works with their technology to confuse the camera, but you can clearly make out his arm. He has no bicep muscle. That's when I started wondering if maybe there isn't beings that look more like us that genetically make these other little beings to serve purposes like spy on people. And a different type of being seems to adapt to different environments. I mean, there's one specific being that likes to hang out near the palm trees. That one being that's latched on to the banana tree. There's another photo of him where he's literally blending in with the grass, and the only thing you could make out is his eyes up underneath the banana tree. So, like, there seems to be a different being that some like to stay close to trees, some like to stay close to palm trees, acorn tree. It's just, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but there are a lot of different ones, whether they're genetically modified to serve a purpose for the more intelligent ones or to do the spying. I don't know, but clearly there are a lot of different types of beings.
Now, your sound won't be audible while this video plays, but I'll play this video. I'll play a few of your videos, and after they play, you can tell us what's going on. So I'll start with this one.
Alright guys, what you're seeing is an extraterrestrial in my backyard right now as we speak, using his cloaking technology to blend in with the tree. Now these things can sit still for hours. So I counted 3 of them in the front across the street, and as far as I could tell, there's just the one in the backyard.
There's a branch moving, none of the other branches are moving, like there's no wind in the background. What's going on with that branch? And when I enlarged it, that's when I seen that being covering up with the palm.
Okay, and here's another one that I think this might be the one where the being materializes.
So he was actually hiding on my flower pot, and for a brief second he sticks his head out and then he retracts back.
Weird. Here's another one.
That is so cool! Oh, guys, I can feel the electromagnetic pulse from that. That is weird.
So that is the strange white stuff floating around the air in your yard.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it came back one time after I got out of the hospital, and I was taking pictures of the kids. It came back for like 2 minutes, but this time it like really avoided the camera. I got one picture that I'm not even sure I still have of like the tail end of it flying away, and then I couldn't find it again after that.
Very strange. Here's another one of your videos. So yeah, that was another one. Weird stuff going on for sure that you're capturing, and you're very passionate about this stuff. This is another picture that you say is a being sitting at the
Yes.
bottom of a tree.
Yeah, that guy, that one, that video is a year old, and I just noticed it the other night. I was actually watching the video on my night vision goggles, and I didn't notice it before, but as I was walking up the street, I noticed it turn its head and look at me, which again, I didn't notice it before. So then I took some still shots of it and noticed the being. I mean, you have to really enlarge it to see it, but he's got his little legs crossed. He's got his hand up to his mouth, fixing a microphone. He's wearing a black mask, almost looks like a Ninja Turtle. His mouth is actually shaped like a turtle. Now, when I posted that photo to my channel, a lot of the subscribers didn't understand it. And then I kind of drew a picture of the pose that he's sitting in, and they were able to see it right away. But he's got like one knee up in the air, the other knee's kind of crossed over the first leg, and he's just kind of relaxed there. And it looks like he's adjusting his microphone.
Now, did I show the one where the being materializes yet? I don't think I did. I think I missed that one, but that one was pretty good, where you actually see it materialize. So what's your goal with all of this? Do you think you'll be able to actually prove something, or is this just, are you scared that these things are eventually going to do something more than just observe you? Or
No. I've had a lot of experience that would just take way too much time to get into, that I'm pretty sure they're responsible for. And I've been asked, but a lot of people say they're demons, they're this, they're that, and they're not demons. Demons, I don't think, would need technology. If these beings wanted to hurt me, I mean, as long as this has been going on, I think they would have done it by now, and they could do it very easily. My goal was to communicate with them. Like, now that I've gotten over like seeing so many different types and so many different, like it wouldn't come to such a shock seeing one. I want to communicate. I kind of want to understand why they're watching my house, why they're watching me, what their goal is being here. But then again, there's so many different types of them that I see here. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin, but the shock of it, I think, wouldn't be so bad now. So I'd love to interact and communicate with them, and just keep doing what I'm doing. And, the longer I do it, I'm sure the better footage I get.
Very interesting. Has any authorities looked into this with you or anything like that?
I found it to be very strange with some of the footage that I have up. I don't know if like Google controls the algorithms of the videos. I don't know how that works, but somebody could light a sky lantern and call it a UFO. It goes viral overnight, and I've got beings covering up with palm branches like real aliens, and it might have 1,000 views in a year. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that works.
Very interesting. Well, more of your videos are on your YouTube channel. Do you want to tell people where they can go to watch all these videos? I don't know. There was one really good one that I can't seem to find, but I can tell the fans out there that you are definitely you definitely believe in this. You're not trying to work me. I definitely get that vibe from you.
Yeah.
And it's your story is very interesting.
Right. I mean, my channel is called Astropilot Productions, and I explain on my channel to people all the time. I don't do Patreon. I don't charge people to see the footage. My channel has not been about that. It's about my personal hobby. Now, when I first started catching the beings, and I told my subscribers that I thought that I could catch the beings, I mean, people donated for equipment so that I could catch the beings, but that was as far as that goes. Anybody's welcome to go. All the videos, because I do a lot of stupid ramble videos as well. All of the alien stuff is titled Science and Technology. So that's where you'll find all of the paranormal and alien stuff. And it's all free for anybody to go watch.
What do you think about the government coming out with more information and basically saying recently that that UFOs exist and they don't really know what they are? Do you think more and more info is going to come out in the coming months and years from the government? And they probably do know more. Let's face it. They've even said some ex-military people have said that they know more, but for whatever reason, they're keeping it quiet for now.
They know a lot more. And again, it would take too much time to explain how I know it, and it would probably be even less believable. There's a man-made craft, a big triangle man-made craft, and I've seen this thing personally. It's got a bunch of teenagers, young people on it. A lot of them are sick in some way, missing limbs. And they're made to play these games. And when they play these games, every time they beat a game, they're really solving a problem for a doctor. They get these points that they could spend on this craft, and they don't know anything except life on this craft. The government knows way more than what they're putting out there. In the near future, I think they're going to release little bits of footage with UFOs. I've seen Dr. Greer's take on a fake alien invasion. I'm not sure it's really going to get to that point, but you got to look at it, man. He's onto something. Fossil fuels, $30-40 trillion a year industry. There's no money in free energy. So why would they, even if they express and tell you, yes, there's something out there, but we don't know what it is, they're never going to tell people that they've got access to that kind of technology because there's no money in free energy.
And they also don't want other countries to know what kind of technology they have as well.
Exactly.
Or what I've actually heard too from Tom DeLonge, who we all know investigates this stuff and actually works with the government. He has actually said that the government doesn't actually want to let the visitors know what kind of technology they have either, because it could be a threat if they know that we're more advanced than they think we are.
That might be true. I think Tom DeLonge is being used as a pawn to spread disinformation. I don't think. I mean, if that's true, if he's saying that and that's true, then maybe they are planning a fake alien invasion. I mean, the average person wouldn't know the difference between a man-made craft, and a regular craft or an alien craft. But I think Tom DeLonge is just being used to put all this information out there that I don't believe it's even remotely true.
All I know
I
from
believe
Dr.
some of what
Greer
he
is he's
says.
making a lot of money off of his movies.
What's
He's
that?
in Dr. Greer is in the business of is in his own business in this as well, with his apps and movies that he sells. He's not exactly putting them out for free.
Oh,
He is
without a
making
doubt.
money on it. Everyone seems to have their own intentions. So what I always suggest people is just do your own research and come to your own conclusions.
Yes, that's without a doubt. Find your own truth as far as that goes. I know Greer charges like $3,500 to go out with him for a couple of days and do this. The app is $6. Now, I did use the app years ago with my son as a novelty thing, and it works. I mean, there's no, I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's giving off some kind of a mathematical tone or how it actually works, but the way he explains that you got to go through this whole meditation process and guide them to your location. Excuse the language, but that's bullshit. All you got to do is play the tones in a walkie-talkie and just wait, and they'll come around. The reason I wouldn't recommend it is because the couple of times that I did it with my son, I had just really bad experiences, like scary experiences. So I don't play with that.
Very interesting. Well, thanks for coming on. I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to tell the viewers out there. Interesting story you have.
Oh, not a problem. Appreciate you having me on. If anybody wants to see the footage, it's free. I mean, it's under. I mean, you don't have to pay attention to the Rambo videos if you're just interested into the alien stuff. It's all under science and technology. Again, a lot of the footage is grainy. It's hard to see. A lot of the stuff is really easy to see. You just, I mean, if you follow the channel, you know, definitely I'll let you know when more stuff is uploaded, because this is something that I do pretty much every night. So it's free. Go check it out.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe